Welcome back to part 2 of our series on The Only Investment Guide You'll Ever Need by Andrew Tobias. In the first video, we explored the foundation, the mindset required to build wealth. Today, we're going to dive into the next critical step, saving and budgeting like an investor. Because here's the truth, no matter how great your investment strategy is, you can't invest money you don't have. Tobias makes it very clear. Wealth begins with saving. It may sound obvious, but it's the part most people overlook. Many dream of getting rich through the stock market or real estate. But if you're spending every dollar you earn, you're never giving yourself the chance to invest in the first place. Let's start with the first rule. Pay yourself first. This is one of the most powerful financial habits you can develop. Instead of waiting until the end of the month to see if there's anything left to save, flip the order. The moment your paycheck arrives, set aside a portion for saving and investing. Treat it like a bill that must be paid, non-negotiable. When you pay yourself first, you're prioritizing your future over impulse spending. Even if it's just 5 or 10% of your income at first, this habit compounds into something powerful over time. The second rule Tobias highlights is building an emergency fund. Life is unpredictable. Cars break down, medical bills appear, jobs get lost. If you don't have a financial cushion, you'll end up using credit cards or loans to survive, and those debts can destroy your progress. Tobias recommends setting aside enough cash to cover at least a few months of living expenses. Think of this as your financial safety net. It's not meant to grow wealth, but to protect the wealth you're building. When emergencies strike, you won't have to sell investments or go into debt. Now, let's talk about budgeting. Many people hear the word budget and immediately think of restriction, sacrifice, or cutting out all the fun. But Tobias reframes it as something empowering. A budget isn't about saying no to everything. It's about saying yes to what actually matters. Here's how. Start by tracking your spending for 1 month. You don't need to obsess over every cent forever, but this exercise will show you where your money really goes. Often, people are shocked to see how much disappears on things they don't even value. Impulse shopping, eating out too often, unused subscriptions. Once you have this awareness, you can make conscious choices. Maybe you decide to keep spending on travel because it brings you joy, but you cut back on takeout or cancel unused memberships. Budgeting becomes less about sacrifice and more about alignment, spending on what matters, saving on what doesn't. Another principle Tobias stresses is avoiding financial leaks. These are the small, unnoticed expenses that drain your money without you realizing it. For example, paying high fees on bank accounts or credit cards, letting insurance or utility bills auto-renew without checking for better rates, overspending on status purchases just to impress others. Individually, these might seem small, but over time, they add up to thousands of dollars that could have been invested. Tobias suggests reviewing your financial life regularly, plugging those leaks, and redirecting the money into your savings and investments. He also talks about debt management, something we touched on in Part 1. High-interest debt, especially credit cards, is a financial trap. If you're paying 18 or 20% interest, that's a hole almost impossible to climb out of if you keep ignoring it. Tobias's advice is simple. Before you think about building an investment portfolio, make paying off high-interest debt your top priority. This doesn't mean all debt is evil. A mortgage, for example, can be considered good debt if it allows you to build equity in a home. Student loans, if used wisely, can be an investment in your future earning power. But toxic debt, the kind that grows faster than you can pay it back, should be eliminated as soon as possible. One of the clever tips Tobias gives is to treat saving like a game. Instead of seeing it as deprivation, challenge yourself to find creative ways to cut costs. For example, bring lunch to work instead of buying it every day. Use public transportation or carpool to save on gas. Cancel subscriptions you don't use. Each time you save money, imagine that you're giving your future self a gift. Some people even make saving fun by setting little challenges. Can I live on 90% of my paycheck this month? Or can I cut my grocery bill by 20% without sacrificing quality? This gamification helps turn saving into a positive experience instead of a painful chore. Tobias also introduces the concept of automatic savings. If you struggle with discipline, set up systems that make saving effortless. Automate transfers from your checking account to a savings account or investment account as soon as you get paid. That way, the money is saved before you even see it. Out of sight, out of mind. Automation is powerful because it removes willpower from the equation. You don't have to remember to save. You don't have to resist temptation. The decision is already made, and your future is taken care of. Finally, Tobias emphasizes that saving and budgeting are not about punishment. They are about freedom. When you save, you're not depriving yourself. You're buying independence. You're buying peace of mind. You're buying the ability to make choices without being controlled by money. Think about the difference. A person living paycheck to paycheck with no savings feels constant stress. Every bill is a burden. Every emergency is a disaster. Every financial decision is a source of anxiety. A person with savings and a budget, on the other hand, feels secure. They can handle surprises. They can plan for the future. They can focus on living instead of just surviving. To wrap up, let's recap Tobias's saving and budgeting principles. Pay yourself first. Make saving automatic and non-negotiable. Build an emergency fund before investing. Budget consciously. Spend on what matters, cut what doesn't. Watch out for financial leaks and high fees. Eliminate toxic, high-interest debt. Treat saving like a game, not a punishment. Automate the process to make it effortless. These are the building blocks of financial security. Without them, investing is like building a house on sand. With them, you create a strong foundation that will support you for decades. In the next part of this series, we'll finally get into the heart of investing, where to put your money, how to use index funds, and the strategies Tobias recommends for building wealth safely and consistently. So make sure to subscribe and stay tuned, because Part 3 will be packed with practical investment advice that anyone can apply, even with just a few dollars.